Hey, it's all, and this is Warcraft Weekly, the rapid fire edition. Hit the like button, subscribe for more copium-filled content, and well, here's me channeling like the one YouTuber I watch, but let's just jump into it. The patch notes for 10.07 released just the other day, sealing the deal that Dragonflight's next update is coming next week. Don't be fooled just because it's being called a minor patch. Even though we're not getting a new season or dungeon or raid, there are huge class changes that make this feel like a big boy patch. There's a new faction to work on, a zone to explore, tons more stuff to fight and maim and loot, and the crafting UI is smaller, and they said the game couldn't be fixed. To celebrate the launch, the WoW team is doing another Twitch drop, this time dropping the disco toy, which when you click on it makes you dance and it plays a little bit of music. This follows an ongoing pattern of items from the discontinued WoW trading card game that have been put up for Twitch drops in the past, and with how this injects some healthy traffic to streamers and all streamers can participate in these drops, it'll be no surprise if we eventually see all the TGC loot cards become a loot drop, maybe even this one. The drops promo starts on patch day, so Tuesday, March 21st at 10 AM Pacific, and goes on until April 2nd. What you gotta do is watch 4 hours of your favorite streamer, aka me. We'll keep each other company, and throughout the 21st, I am going to do giveaways of the Viridian Phase Hunter mount, the modern version of the mount that you would get if you bought the deluxe version of Burning Crusade Classic. And then, Classic WoW has been saved, or at least that's what people would like to think. After just this past week, the team announced that they banned almost 120,000 accounts. And this is reportedly on top of the usual tens or so thousands of accounts that are banned each week. This is both huge and hugely needed, as Classic Realms have been plagued with armies of bots using Death Knight characters. We'd see them slamming instances and battlegrounds and turning the realms into like this full-on bot-filled dystopia. The past few months have been filled with posts on forums and social media calling for the WoW team to do something to address the issue, and thankfully they finally did. Usually these ban waves happen in occasional big batches, and in this case it was freaking monster. Imagine 120,000 accounts worth of gold and materials and more being wiped out fast enough that bad actors didn't have time to try and move it to accounts that are considered safe. In Blizzard statements, they're also going to try and curb the bot problem by disabling the ability to make Death Knights on a new Classic account. At the start of Wrath Classic, the team leaned towards accessibility so that everyone can get a crack at making a Death Knight day one, rather than having to make a level 55 character that they would just throw away. But now that time has passed and obviously the bot problem has gotten so obvious, they're closing that spigot. I talked about this last week, but I'll bring up this question again. Should they introduce the WoW token to Western realms to pop the kneecaps of these gold sellers and manage the inflated amount of gold that is still circulating? And then, speaking of the WoW token, anyone notice the price shooting up by like 25%? My thinking is that the hype around Diablo 4 is building, even though its launch is still over 2 months away, but thanks to being able to spend gold to buy a BattleNet balance, no doubt a ton of users bought a digital version of Diablo 4 just for the sake of getting into the early access beta. This is combined with the fact that crafting resources across the board have been sliding down in price because we're in the later part of the season when participation in the late game stuff, it dips, and while on certain realms the economy is very healthy, the regional auction house reflects all realms and it doesn't care how healthy your realm is, which makes this a mixed bag of opportunities for crafters. Now, it's very good news that recipe difficulties and specializations are not expected to expand in 10.1 content, giving at least a season's worth of catch-up for people who are coming in later. Cheap materials means it's easy to level and complete weekly objectives for knowledge points, and hopefully by now folks have realized that it's not about getting to maximum skill, but just to keep collecting knowledge each week and then looking for opportunities. Now, is that a catch-up? No, of course not. But is mastering a profession easier to do? I'd say yes. And then 10.1 dropped its second build this week, and at a glance, it's pretty far along. The team released a lengthy fact on the new upgrade system, coming with a few highlights. First, that it's not an evergreen system, but more like an experiment. And this experiment has a good chance of making it into Season 3 unless it's a catastrophic failure. Mythic 16s are still going to be the most efficient way to progress towards Mythic gear. I'm giving a super simple version of this, but basically, if you want Mythic gear in Season 2, you have to either complete Mythic raid content, clear plus 20s and get loot from the vault, or clear plus 16 so you can get the reagents that let you craft gear equivalent to plus 20 gear at the vaults. That's basic enough. Also, the team is going to continue to listen to people who are concerned about the item level brackets that separate world content gear from mythic level gear. What the WoW devs are trying to do is create a universal system where everyone, from people who just run world quests to raiders to dungeon folk, can upgrade their gear. It's just separated by the difficulty of the content that they do. What some players want, not all, but some, what they want is the same opportunity that they had in Season 4 of Shadowlands, which was to get gear from the easiest to farm source and then farm farm it from 0 to max without restrictions, so obviously they're not happy that they won't be able to do the same thing in 10.1, or basically ever since. What the WoW team is focused on is if there should be a mechanism that lets a player promote a piece of gear from one rank to the next. And quick prediction, they're probably going to relent on this, citing the population of people who participate in one kind of content and another level of content, and how there's a lack of mix between both. But they're going to be mindful of this, aka you're going to hate it, because they're going to introduce some sort of time-gated, degenerate method of promoting these, like, trinkets, I guess, from one rank to the next, because we're all just talking about trinkets, obviously. And I'm sure the players are going to be so satisfied with that change that they're going to grab their pitchforks and demand a vendor anyway. And then, Weakauras are dead. That's what some folks are panicking over ever since the team at Weakauras pointed out that the WoW devs are setting up a system that will make certain encounter mechanics untrackable through add-ons like Weakauras. This mostly affects the Mythic raid scene, where in more recent expansions, encounter mechanics have gotten a little bit more complicated. With all these overlapping tasks and assignments, and the likes of Weakauras with other add-ons have gone a long way with effectively solving the puzzle for players, so all they have to do is what the Weakaura tells them to. It's not so far-fetched to believe that there's an arms race between the WoW team and add-on creators to complicate and simplify encounters. But finally, the WoW team is coming up with new tech that will hopefully put an end to this escalation. It's pretty wild that top guilds have pretty much a set of programmers on the side writing Weakauras between calls. Now, I don't see the WoW team lowering its skill bar, but I do hope that with this change, future encounter design will focus on more interesting mechanics and not ways for us to turn left and right at the same time. As usual, we got mixed takes, but I've been observing more positive reactions than negative, saying in general that it's about time that WoW does at least something to stop the automation of strategy and thinking. But what are your thoughts? And then, no, actually, that's the show, really. I tried a different format for the sake of brevity because there's a lot going on, and I had to push a few things back, like a really good set of conversations that I am going to have about guild. I'm really excited to talk about it next week, and I promise it's gonna blow your minds, or at least, get one of those. But I want to give a huge thanks to our fam over on Twitch and Patreon. I am grateful that you folks have been patient with me after going through another power outage. That was fun. But I'm excited about this Diablo 4 stuff and 1007, and okay. I know this comes off as me being fanboy, but it just feels pretty good to be a fan of World of Warcraft right now. The future really is looking bright, and I'm looking forward to that statement aging like milk. But anyway, thanks to you, viewer, for making it to the end. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and catch me live Tuesday as we dive into 1007 for some drops and giveaways and fun times. And let's go. I'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.